Hello, friends. On this lovely afternoon in March, I'd like to pursue the theme of Jesus and the Christ. And that is the title of the collection of messages from which I have been reading. And you need to, or I need to, give you my perspective on these beings and some of the background, where I'm coming from on this. It's similar to Benjamin Creme and some of the other channelers, but not exactly. It's drawn mainly from the theosophical Western esoteric tradition. And you can see many references to that and recognizable themes as I talk. But let me quote a little from the foreword to the book. What do I mean exactly, Jesus and the Christ? Aren't they the same being? Well, in my eyes, not exactly. They were during the approximately 3 years of Jesus' ministry, leading up to that elaborate bit of passionate, epoch-defining drama known to us as the crucifixion. But other than that, I believe they were two distinct entities. Working towards the same goals, of course, and certainly on the same team, but quite distinct. The Christ, I believe, is that evolutionary force, sometimes abstracted, sometimes personified, which seeks to inspire and re-inspire our spiritual questing on the planes of form. As light is both a particle and a wave, depending on how and when you observe it, the Christ is both a cosmic energy and a unique being. Whether we deign to take notice or no, it permeates our human consciousness with the light of love and understanding, and it also overshadows all movements and individuals who sincerely and altruistically attempt to amplify and expand the religious faith and spiritual understanding of mankind. Although in this book I am concentrating on the twin expressions of Jesus and the Christ, who has more recently come to be called Maitreya, some sources of esoteric teachings suggest that the Christ overshadowed many prophets, Krishna, Buddha, and Jesus to mention but 3. As the various esoteric texts, both traditional and modern, make varying pronouncements concerning exactly who constitutes that body of elevated souls, sometimes known as the Ascended Masters and sometimes the Inner World Government, but who I sense would prefer to be seen as some inner planetary guiding council. I shall refrain as best I can from taking sides. Suffice to say that a group of souls who have successfully completed their earthly missions, exhausting all the desires and fears which keep the rest of us here breathing and striving, are actively involved in all the life processes of this planet, that myriad of activities, both seen and unseen, which keep the wheels turning, as it were, and who are dedicated to all our eventual enlightenments, and are the divine stable from which Jesus and the Christ easily emerge to cajole and communicate. That's some of my background, and those are my words. Now, a message from Jesus on the matter just mentioned. This is called On I and the Father. It's from March the 5th, 2007. Although the passing millennia mean little from my current perspective, I can easily refocus on the role of the wandering rabbi Messiah figure and infuse my current consciousness with his, feeling out the limitations that were expressed by doubts and fears. The man I inhabited was prepared for his role as divinely inspired teacher during the years before what has become known as my ministry. But no amount of preparation can ready the vehicle for all the mysterious unknowns his expansion will unveil. When I and the Father were one, I calmly knew which course to follow and followed it without hesitation. To be completely identified with one's inspiration is to be without doubt. One's actions are completed smoothly, without the hitches or stumbles that accompany even momentary doubt, and one inevitably generates awe among one's companions, whose own doubts regularly stunt their aspirations. When I did not feel thus connected, I felt, as you know, forsaken and would plead like a lost child for understanding. These, of course, were tests set by my teachers to see where my strengths and weaknesses lay. Many of you in the intervening centuries have experienced individual variations on these challenges, and perhaps will not be surprised to hear that they are the inevitable consequence of taking on the path towards self-mastery. One is guided, taught, and inspired, but there are stages where one is left alone to struggle, discern, and teach, so that the divinity within can learn to express itself without the aid of the divinity without. When my overt ministry was brought to its dramatic closure, I discovered many things, one of which was that the being you know as Maitreya overshadowed me for much of my last few years, and it was his overshadowing which aligned me with the God force that powered my more famous actions. When I felt filled with the power and majesty of the Father, I was in fact filled with his greater and more elevated consciousness, which allowed me smooth, continuous access to the God vibration, which otherwise might have exhausted me prematurely. It was a carefully orchestrated divine experiment in which little was left to chance. Of course, we could not tell exactly how it would all work out in the course of history, as humans always have the right to free will, but we were well able to till the soil and plant the seeds. Because he was so close to the God consciousness within his own, Maitreya felt like the Father to me, even though he was not. So I spoke the truth as I understood it. Even the inspired can be inaccurate on specifics. I now know that Maitreya stands behind several prophets and messiahs, because that is one of his planetary tasks. His job is to inspire us with the greater consciousness that knows no bounds, while we live within the all-too-human limitations. He is our link to the Father, and we work best as a team, with all the heavenly hosts behind us, helping, each in their own way. Although Maitreya was indispensable to the execution of my ministry, reinforcing my efforts when intention faltered, I was, and still am, one with the Father, and will be here for you all until each one of you makes that same leap of faith, which surrenders the comfortable known for all that exists mysteriously beyond, aligning you more and more with the consciousness of omniscience. Well, powerful stuff that, and probably quite heretical to some of you watching this. You'll be diving to your computers to make a comment. Some antichrist or heresy comment, I dare say. And I would ask you all to be understanding and embracing of the many views of Christ and his team and his mission. I may not be 100% correct, but I am certainly not 100% wrong. Of that I am quite sure. So, blessings to all of you, whatever your faith and belief structure. May the prophets of your choice inspire you to love yourself and the rest of mankind, so that we can all get along harmoniously and build a new world together.